I used to be overweight. I didn't want to be. Like most other people, I wanted to have a nice looking body and I wanted to feel attractive. I wanted to be able to use my body to do whatever I wanted to do. So, play with my daughter, snowboard, ski, all the things, longboard. But I was overweight. So, I felt stuck. And I kind of resigned myself to this idea that, okay, Violet, this is where you are in life right now. And so this is what you weigh. And honestly, that did help me because I started to live my life again. I actually went back to riding all my vehicles, and I wasn't so concerned about the people looking at me. Look at that overweight lady riding a longboard. I rode it because it's what I wanted to do. So pushing myself to say, well, this is what I weigh, so whatever, kind of allowed me to get back into doing my life. The problem was, it also put me in that mindset to say, well, I guess I'm just overweight now. All right, nothing I can do about it. This is the way I'm going to live my life. Hello, Wellness Warriors. Welcome to Mind Blowing Health and Wellness with Violet. I'm Violet, and the reason I make these videos is to help you to understand that when your mental health and physical health are working well together, that's when we have that overall sense of well-being. If this is something that you're working on, subscribe because I make new videos every week. So I was walking around with this limiting belief. What's a limiting belief? So something that you believe that says that you can't do something. It's blocking your action. It's blocking your ability to engage with a certain situation, or it's blocking you from believing that something's possible. Like, it just basically says, this is the way it is, and it's not going to change. And I was walking around with this limiting belief that, well, this is what Violet weighs now. And by having that limiting belief, I lived years, I would say at least 10, 11 years, not making any attempt, any effort at all to manage my weight. I was just living and eating whatever and doing my activities. So that part I'm very happy for, but not making any real significant effort towards changing my weight. I can actually say that I don't even, in that 10-year period, I don't think I stepped on a scale once. Now, there are other types of limiting beliefs that absolutely affect our ability to lose weight or maintain a good weight. One that comes to mind is, I can't put down X, or I can't not eat X. I guess for me, it would have been, I can't put down chocolate. I can't not eat chocolate. I walked around with that idea that I just love chocolate that much for so many years that actually every occasion that I had to have chocolate, I did have it. And even on occasions where I said, you know what, this is getting out of control, and I stopped buying it for my house, I still would eat it if it was on the table at a party, or, if it was a dessert at a restaurant, I would still have it. Why? Because, well, I actually told myself that I can't not eat it, right? If I tell myself that I can't give something up, then when it's presented to me, I'm actually going to eat it. And that's what was happening to me. And I know it happens to other people because I've had this conversation. I've heard people say this. All right. Like, I've heard people in reaction to hearing that I no longer eat fruit. I can't give up fruit. Okay. I didn't think I could give up chocolate, but here we are today, and I haven't had chocolate in years. And what's really weird is that if I tell myself that there's no way that I could, like, not eat cookies, then do I really feel odd about eating potatoes, rice, or pasta? I mean, those are healthy foods, right? I mean, if I'm still eating cookies, why would I put down potatoes, rice, or pasta? And I feel like when we tell ourselves that we can't do something, or we can't not eat something, then we open this door to almost anything that's even remotely better than this bad thing is okay. And how do I know what's okay? Well, the truth is, it's how it's impacting my health, right? But I'm getting ahead of myself. The other limiting belief that I hear often is, as we age, we will gain weight. What's interesting about that one is that it allows me to stop paying attention to my weight as I get older, which means that I'm letting myself gain weight. Now, the other thing that happens is, if I feel like I'm going to gain weight no matter what, then it opens this idea of, well, why would I deprive myself then? Why would I not eat the cookies and the chip? I'm going to gain weight anyways. And oh, wow, can that speed up the rate at which we're actually gaining weight? There are many people, especially in my community, there are many people who are of the mind that playing is for children. And so as they get into their 30s and 40s, rather than ride their bike or rollerblade or use their skateboard, they drive their car because, of course, that's more efficient. Rather than ice skating and skiing in the winter, they're working and doing adult things. And the problem is that if I stop engaging my body in certain types of activities because playing is for children, then over time, my body will not be used to doing those activities. So when I've retired and now I'm looking to have fun again, I might be 60 or 70 years old and I'm now too afraid to get on my bike because what if I fall and hurt myself? Or too afraid to go skiing because what if I fall and hurt myself? And all of a sudden, I start to realize that by telling myself I couldn't do those things, I created the situation where I actually cannot do those things because I haven't been doing those things. Versus the people who didn't have that limiting belief, who continued to ski throughout their lives, continued to skateboard throughout their lives. I saw a very interesting video from Tony Hawk turning 50, the tricks he was doing. When we keep engaging in activities because they're healthy, our age doesn't stop us from being healthy. The reality is, if I'm afraid to fall, I'm going to play out I can't play anymore. Versus if I was never afraid to fall, then I just keep playing. Right? And I really do hope that I'm going to be playing, not only continue to play with my daughter, but play with the grandchildren and hopefully the great grandchildren. Why? Because I don't plan to stop playing. Limiting beliefs are also going to impact the why and how we approach weight loss. When we think about thin people, we have this image of happy, successful, energetic, athletic, confident people. Versus when we think about overweight people, we think lazy, insecure, careless, and, well, basically constantly eating, right? That's clearly how I was overweight. And so the idea that I could possibly be happy before I looked thin doesn't make any sense, right? I need to lose the weight to get to have those qualities. And that idea pushes us to set that as a goal. So now my why is I need to be thin to be able to be successful and happy and all these amazing things that the thin people have. Here's the problem. We overlook the fact that, take myself as the example. When I was overweight, I never stopped moving. I was taking my daughter out to the park all the time. We were riding all the time. We were skating all the time. We went skiing every season. We snowboarded and skied on top of that. We would go to the pool in the summer and in the winter. We were constantly doing things. I wasn't sitting around doing nothing. I was a happy person. I was extremely confident and quite successful in my job. So was I the exception to the rule? Well, let's think about that. I also knew people who were thin and yet unhappy, unmotivated, not doing well at work, didn't have lots of energy, were not happy people. What is this telling us? If you believe that by losing weight, all of your problems are going to be solved, you will actually put a lot of time, energy, effort into trying to lose weight. And a lot of you are going to say, well, wow, that sounds like not necessarily a bad thing because we're still going to end up with the weight loss. Here's the problem. While I'm struggling to lose the weight, if I hit a stall, I'm going to be unhappy. Right there, this is going to seem like a useless exercise to me. If I gain weight, I'm going to be extremely unhappy. This is going to seem like a useless exercise to me. Those are two occasions where I might stop doing what I'm trying to do. So stop doing the things that are healthier for myself because I'm not getting immediate results because my focus is on being thin to be happy and healthy like all these other people. If you believe that by losing weight, you're going to be happy, energetic, confident, successful, just like all those other thin people, you might actually start focusing on your weight and doing whatever you can to bring your weight down. Part one. If my goal is to be happy and thin like them, am I necessarily focusing on what's the healthy way to do this? That's a question mark. Part two is that I am now saying to myself that I am not going to eat those fun foods. Remember that I think I can't stop eating them. So I'm not going to eat those fun foods because I'm going to be good and I'm going to get to that weight. And what happens when along the way, normal fluctuations in my weight happen? So I step on the scale and I'm higher than I was 2 days ago. What happens when I hit a stall? Maybe I step on the scale and it's just not moving for days and days. How am I going to manage that information? And the problem here is this. When I come into a situation with this idea that I'm going to accomplish all these magical things just by losing weight, any stumbling block is going to make me question why I'm depriving myself of these fun foods. I'm going to see not losing, I'm going to see gaining as a fail, when in fact it's just part of the process that my body's going to go through to lose weight. The other issue that I see is what happens when I lose the weight and my life doesn't change. So sure, I'm going to be happy on the way down. When I see the scale goes down, I'm going to be like, yay, another 5 pounds. Yay, another 3 pounds. At some point, I'm going to get to the weight that I'm going to be. And then what? Well, there's no more excitement from the actual loss of weight. I'm expected to live my life here and move forward. And without the excitement of continuing to lose weight, do I keep eating the way that I was eating? Interestingly, I would hope that everybody would say, yes, I just keep eating that way because that's what makes sense. The problem is most of us don't, because the motivation to lose weight was losing weight and it's no longer there. Now you would think, well, being thin like everybody else and having the life that they have was going to be what's going to help me to stay there. But my life doesn't actually change. I still have the friends that I have. I still have the relationship that I have with my spouse or my family or my kids or what. And if I wasn't happy in those things before, being thin isn't going to change the way that my family interacts with me. So I'm still going to be in a negative space. Now, I'm not going to pretend that there aren't some positives to losing the weight, because there is. But what I really find interesting is that when we approach any goal in a way that we're focused on the wrong elements, then we only see the negatives and we don't see the potential positives that could be there. So many people I've spoken to who did actually lose quite a bit of weight doing a ketogenic lifestyle and then regained the weight. And when I asked them, well, did you notice that your body felt better? Absolutely, they did. Did they get more energy? Absolutely, they did. Did they have mental clarity? They absolutely recall that. Was their appetite regulated and they were able to eat when hungry rather than chasing food? Absolutely remember that. So why did they end up regaining the weight? Also, often the stories that I hear, and when we watch channels with people talking about their experience, the same story comes back over and over and over again. Once they got to their goal, the motivation to stay there wasn't there because health wasn't the reason they were doing this in the first place. And that desire to be able to eat cookies was still there because it never went away, because I was actually depriving myself rather than accepting that cookies were no longer part of my meal plan. And wanting to be thin and achieving getting thin didn't actually take away the pain that they were living. And unfortunately, what gave them pleasure was eating these fun foods, even though these same fun foods they knew had caused them to gain weight. So here's what's interesting for everybody to think about. If I start any goal in my life with a limiting idea, if I'm trying to accomplish something and I have a belief system that isn't towards goals that are going to take me not only to a finish line, but far into the future, then I'm risking getting into a cycle with myself where I accomplish something temporarily, and then I have to struggle through it again because I let it go and then I have to do it again. Versus looking at the bigger picture. Because if my goal, so when my goal was solve my hip issue, it wasn't solve it for a year, it was solve it forever. It's part of the reason that when I learned that what I would actually have to do was take my carbohydrate intake down to 20, I was so shocked that I did more research for a month and a half. Because one, I wanted to be sure, but because two, I wasn't sure how I would accomplish that. And I needed to find a way to do it that not only would work now, would work far into the future. And I wanted to be sure that whatever I was doing was healthy and safe for me. Because really, the other part of the story is that I started to realize that my health was what was actually in danger. When I learned that inflammation was happening within my body, I started to understand that the way that I was eating was actually damaging my health. And I wanted to solve that, not just today, but well into the future. And I do believe that for most people, when we try to solve a problem, if we try to solve it not just for this moment, but for this moment and well into the future, we do better. If I have financial issues, it's not just about paying the bills tomorrow that are due for this month. It's how do I set up a situation for myself where I'm making enough money, where I can pay my bills tomorrow, next month, the next month, far into the future, so that I'm not scared when the hydro bill comes in every month. Right? And I think this is what I want people to think about is, am I doing things? So am I having belief systems that keep me stuck because I'm believing things to be true or believing myself to be incapable of things that I might be capable of or that might not be true? And the only way that we can really figure out the reality for ourselves is to challenge what we're saying to ourselves. So listen to what I'm saying to myself and decide, is what I'm saying right now making sense for what I'm trying to accomplish? Is this the easiest way? Is this the best way? And I mean, if you want to have help in managing some of these things, we can always get assistance, whether you seek your doctor, seek your psychologist, seek your friend's help. But it's important for us to really make sure that we don't have some kind of limiting belief that's blocking us from achieving our goals. I think we're the most happy when we feel successful at managing our life. And that means that I have the people around me that I care about and that are positive for me. That means I have good relationships with my spouse, my children, my family, like all the people that are around me. That I have enough finance to accomplish what I'm trying to accomplish. And I say enough finances because it's not about being rich. It's about being able to live the life that you're comfortable living. And the other thing I think that's super important is having hobbies and activities that we really enjoy so that when we're not working, we have things to pay attention to and focus on and just enjoy. When we're talking about being at a good weight, that's about eating the right foods so that your body can build, repair, and fuel itself. And being comfortable enough to know that I can eat that way going forward in my life. If you'd like more information on a ketogenic diet, the diet that I use to solve my hip issue, this video on the screen is going to help you. I know that you got value out of this video because you made it to this point, so hit that like button because it really does help me. Wellness Warriors, always happy that you come back, and everybody who's new, welcome. I want to thank you for watching Mind Blowing Health and Wellness with Violet. Subscribe. I can't wait to talk to you again next week.